Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jaynky to the Max podcast, where we talk about in- inspiring creations and the even more inspiring creators who make them. Today on the show, we have Jack, who created an entire or at least is working on an 8-bit computer completely from scratch. No components, nothing. Uh,
Yeah, hello.
Hi there.
Hello. Yeah,
Uh,
it's nowhere near complete. It's regrettably quite unfinished, and you've got that janky um, vote for your favourite this year, and it's like it's not even near finished, and I'm drawing with one guy who's got like tons of flying birds.
but I mean, it's still pretty impressive. Like,
I'm giving myself a
where
year, so
where are you at? So you've gotten the. Um, I saw a video a while ago. So you made the RAM.
no, I made the last thing I made was a register, so it's just 1 byte of memory.
So explain to the listeners who don't know, like what does it do? How does it work?
As a whole, I'm trying to build like a little computer or CPU generally, and it's built using just discrete components, so just transistors, resistors, things like that. And yeah, I'm building it each part in a module, so I can test each part and sort of build it up slowly over time.
Hmm. Yeah, and yeah, if there's video or whatever, I'll try to include it. But you should see the pictures. Does an amazing job. Like everything is so neat and orderly. Like if I were to be building this thing, wires would be everywhere. It'd be chaos. But somehow you managed to
There,
keep everything.
there are wires everywhere. I keep posting pictures saying, "Look at this mess," and people are like, "That's not a mess. That's amazing." And it's like, no, this is a state. I hated myself making this.
Well, it really doesn't look that way. Like
I, I'm,
you should be happy
yeah,
about it.
I'm lowering my standards as I go, and yeah, I'm starting to get a bit better at it.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, how did this project start? Like, what was the aha moment where you're like, I'm going to build a tiny computer?
It was when I wasn't even into electronics. I'd never done it before, and I was watching. It just popped up on my YouTube. I'm sure a lot of people have seen Ben Eater. He builds a breadboard CPU using the same architecture as I'm using. And
Oh,
yeah, no, he's a really good teacher, and he made it so simple to understand. And I was like, oh, that's actually quite simple. I could do that. And yeah, so I decided to get into electronics. I got a little kit, done some basic stuff, and then I just dove into the deep end and tried to do it with started my computer project with just discrete components.
I mean, man, that's the way to go. I mean, I bet you're learning so much about computers and CPU architecture.
Yeah, definitely. It's not always nice, but yeah.
So explain what are the like when it's all done. What are going to be the components on this thing?
Um, when it's done, I plan to have like it's gonna like have a front panel, and you can program it. So it'll have a program memory. You can put data into it, and it can run programs. That's the end goal. So far,
Hmm.
it's nowhere near that at the moment. It's sort of my my milestone that I'm trying to reach at the moment is just to have like a jumped up calculator. But after that,
Hmm.
yeah, it won't run programs, but that's for the future.
Right. Okay. And like you were saying that to help test, uh, like that, and make sure everything's working properly, that you have different modules. What can you explain? Kind of like what do you how do you have things segregated so that's easier for you to debug?
So the first thing I built actually it was before I started the computer project. I built a 7 segment display. I built a decoder, so you can sort of take a binary number, split it into like 16 signals, and then I have a little module that takes those 16 signals and translates them into signals that show on a 7 segment display. And then I thought, yeah, I'm going to start my computer project now, and for some reason I'm going to start on the display, even though I've got nothing to show on it. Um, but yeah, I did that, and then I did the ALU, or I started the ALU. It's an 8-bit adder, so you can put two numbers into it and get a result. And I've tested that now, and it works with the display. So yeah, those are two different things, but they work together, and that's sort of how I'm trying to build this thing up. So I can have individual components or individual modules, um, test them on their own, and then hope they just work when I tie them to something else.
Wow, that's that's pretty cool. Wow. So maybe go into some of the details of the like the nitty gritty of um, like CPUs and the adders, right? Because you're gonna have to have like memory. You're gonna have to have the um, processing, the transistors, all that stuff. So maybe go into a little bit of detail on as far as that's concerned for the those of us who don't know.
Well, an overview of how a CPU works.
Sure.
Yeah, it's quite tricky. Uh, it is itself sort of broke up into different sections, and the ALU is just one of those. But you'll also need program memory, which is where the program is stored. You need RAM, which is where you can just store values. Or in the case of my computer that I'm building, RAM and program memory are going to be the same thing. So the program will run directly
Okay.
from RAM. So you won't be able to do much on it. Um, but also you need an instruction register, so you can it basically what takes the bytes you have in memory and actually translates them into working the different components of the CPU. And you have a program clock which ticks through them, and uh, there's multiple registers because you have to save a value into move a value into a register to get it to go into the adder, and then the adder outputs a value into another register, and it's a really complicated thing to explain. But
Yeah.
the architecture I'm using is called SAP1 or SAP1, which basically means simple as possible. So you can look up SAP1 and you'll see lots of diagrams of how these things are laid out, and it sort of makes it a little simpler. But having me explain it,
Right.
it's quite tricky because I'm making this stuff up as I go along.
Yeah.
Each individual bit, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just so I it needs to do X and Y, so I'll make it do that and then worry about fitting it in later. So yeah,
I'm sure we'll put a link in the show notes so people can if they're interested. Yeah, um, that's that you see that's the way to learn. Just jump straight into the deep end and try to swim your way back to shore.
yeah. There's I think generally people try and understand what they're about to do before they do it, but you never are. So it's best
Right.
to just jump into it and just do it and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I love it. Or have been some of the big problems that you've had to tackle during this project?
Uh, um, well, a lot. I've had like I understand the logic of how the computer is meant to work. That's quite a high
Hmm.
level understanding of it. But when you get down into what each transistor is doing, and how electrons work in different materials, that's where my understanding sort of falls down a bit. And
Hmm.
I can experiment and get something that almost works, but if I understood that from the beginning, I would probably have done a lot of things differently. But I make it up as I go, and I try and make it work with what I've got. But yeah, a lot of
Wow.
the problems are like the really small technical things.
Right. It's how do you get this abstract concept, and how do I get that into something that that actually works? That actually, yeah, yeah. There's a oftentimes I think in the tech world you get this huge like chasm. It feels like I remember when I was picking up neural nets and machine learning is that well, still am, but it's that you have this abstract idea of how neurons and how this stuff works, but then getting it into the nitty gritty of actually programming it and telling it how to do it can be a huge challenge, especially if you don't have any like previous experience with electronics.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I bought a kit. The first thing I did was buy an electronics kit when I wanted to get into this, and it only had so much to work with. But obviously at the time I didn't know what I needed. But yeah, I bought a kit and then slowly worked out like different projects I wanted to do. And I tend to have more of an interest in discrete projects. So like instead of
Hmm.
like integrated circuits and stuff like that. I mean, I have done things with integrated circuits, but I don't know why. I'm just drawn to doing things with like the bare
Hmm.
minimum, basically the hard way, I guess, or at least the most time-consuming way. Um, but yeah,
You know, reinventing the wheel gets a really bad rap, and I mean, as far as a business strategy, it's questionable at best. But for a, um, but like, it's so great and to learn and to create, just reinventing the wheel. Like you're not trying to build the best or fastest computer or anything. You're just trying to learn it, and I mean, it's such a great way to pick something up, especially computers.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. It's not like when I've finished this computer, I've toyed with the idea of trying to make it better, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe I should just start again with the knowledge I've gained on this one, use that to
Oh yeah,
make a better one next time. You know, I won't destroy it or anything. I'll just sort of leave it in a corner, and that could be my
right.
reference for like version 2.
You can't destroy something you spent that much time in.
No,
How
no.
much time have you? How much time have you spent, roughly speaking?
Well, I can't even remember when I started it. I started it maybe November, like properly. And I gave myself a year to make it. Yes, it was in November because it was around my birthday. I think it was like the 19th. My birthday's the 20th, and I was like, I'm gonna start this, and in a year, I hope I have it done. And I was gonna sort of like on my birthday have it just like put in the last piece on my birthday and just be like, yeah, it's done. We're both a year older.
That's a really cool idea. Starting a project on your birthday and then like making sure like having that in your like brain so that your next year comes around and you're looking like, okay, I'm gonna finish this project. That's pretty great.
Yeah, it helps me remember when it was as well. I'm not very good at timekeeping, so if I have a fixed reference, that helps.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That is really impressive. Do you have so you were saying when you finish this project that you're just going to move on to building a better computer from scratch, or are you thinking of taking that knowledge and going to some other field or
Uh,
some other electronics project?
well, yeah, I mean, I know what I want. I still want to make a computer, and I know what I want it to do. I want to be able to make a small game on it, because that's my background. I'm a games programmer,
Mhm.
so I would like to
Mhm.
be able to make the hardware to run my own game, even if it's a very simple game.
That would be so cool. Wow.
It's gonna take some effort, but yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna try and see if it's possible to do it with my current build. I don't know if it is, but something very simple. It might be. I'll have to have some sort of display that and some sort of input, but
Right.
I'm not sure how I'm gonna manage that yet. Because yeah, I just don't know.
That's I mean, yeah, that I cannot even imagine all the all the soldering and all the work that goes into it.
You
I
know what?
mean,
The soldering isn't the problem for me. I actually quite like it. I find it therapeutic. I'm quite happy to just sit there for hours on end, just soldering these tiny little bits. Even like things like the 8-bit adder. It contains 8 boards, right? They're all identical. But I'm quite happy to just sit
hmm.
there remaking the same thing again and again. And you get faster at it if it's the same thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, I still find that fun. I don't know why, I just do. And I actually find it slightly more stressful when I have to create a new circuit and you have to, you have like I need to fit it in this size board, and you try everything you can to make it work at that size, and that gets stressful. But when
Right.
you can repeat it afterwards, you could just copy that one. I don't know, it's a little easier. But the kind of boards I'm working on at the moment, they're like, I make this one and that's it. I don't need to make another one of these. I don't enjoy those ones so much. I don't know why. It's just because I know it takes a long time to build them. Like when it's a new one, I can't just copy it
Hmm.
again. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the copying. I don't know why. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it definitely. I mean, I can definitely see it being therapeutic. What would get to me is the fumes. Uh, although
Yeah.
I'm sure you have proper like a mask or some way to
No,
dispense with that.
that would be too easy. No, I do have I have an old PC fan I used as an extractor. It doesn't work amazingly, but it does suck the smoke out your eyes, which is kind of helpful.
Do you have a filter on it, like a carbon
I've bought
screen?
I've bought filters for it, but I haven't actually put them on yet. On yet. I wanted to actually do a video of building it, and then I've just never got around to that. So I've just stuck there with this basic PC fan, just keeping the fumes out my eyes.
Yeah, well, that was yeah. No, I'm in a similar situation where I just once you get started and you just get wrapped into it. I mean, I don't know about you. Maybe it depends on the solder, but if I inhale too much of that stuff, I get lightheaded and dizzy. Like it's
Yeah,
like ah.
it's not good for you.
I mean, I don't think you're. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe it's the lead that you're smelling. I think it's probably like the other stuff in there. But still, it's bad stuff for you.
Yeah, lead is odorless, but I mean, yeah, over time it can cause you respiratory problems and things like that. Soldering.
Listeners, get a mask, get a solder sucker, do something.
How's a solder
Don't be
sucker?
like us.
How's a solder sucker gonna help?
Uh,
I mean, you should have one, but it's not
yes,
gonna help
a
your
solder
lungs.
sucker. Yes. Suck that solder before you even put it on the board.
Yeah.
Just skip the whole middle step.
Oh dear.
No, a fume extractor. Yeah, get
Yeah,
something.
you
You
definitely need it.
don't. Stuff.
Just because it's uncomfortable, just the heat going into your eyes. That was the worst thing for me. Because
Hmm.
I lean in quite close, and yeah, sometimes there'll just be a little bit of I don't know. It's like flux will just burst into flames,
Yeah.
hit you in the eyes. I
Yes.
don't know.
So soldering safety. Wear eye protection. Wear a mask.
Also,
And
something I do a lot is make sure you look at your soldering iron when you pick it up.
yes.
Don't just grab wildly into over to your left and then just pick up the hot metal tip, which I've done
That
several
is a
times.
very smart thing to do.
Yeah,
And yeah, I've been burned. It's like that the picture that was circulating a while ago where it was the one random girl and she was like there's a stock footage she was soldering something in quotes and you look get a close up and she's just holding the tip, and it's just like oh gosh,
yes.
that's not how you do it.
It's not
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, no. So do you have what's your since I bet you do a lot of soldering, what's your setup look like?
I have the cheapest soldering iron I could find, and it's just set up to my right. It's like the base, like the metal base that's meant to hold the
Hmm.
soldering iron, like still. It just keeps moving around. I need a heavier one. I just keep knocking it, and I'm so worried I'm going to knock it over and it's just going to fling in my face or something at some point. It's it's not safe. If asking me for solder safety tips is you're barking up the wrong tree. It's just the cheapest setup I could make. That's it.
Is it a station or is it just like a wall plug-in?
It's just a wall plug-in. It doesn't even have a switch to turn it off on the wire. You have to unplug it. I've actually left it on before. I left it on for like 6 hours.
Oh no.
No one noticed. My girlfriend was in the room and she was in there alone and she didn't see it. You know, but
Oh.
you know what? It didn't damage the tip. The tip was fine.
Oh wow, that's
After six
impressive.
after 6 hours of being left on with no use, it was absolutely fine. Just took about 5 minutes to retin it, but yeah, I was surprised by that.
Yeah, yeah. I have to. I got the. I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit more classy than that. I got the cheapest soldering station I could find,
Yeah, yeah,
so as a knob to control it
I do
and
have
everything.
I have a temperature dial. That's about it.
Yeah. It has a switch, but no, yeah, no, it was the dirt cheapest thing I could find.
Yeah.
Um, and then so for my I don't know if you have any helping hands or like little
I
alligator clips.
I actually recently got some, and I got these like little, they're like metal ones. They got like little crocodile clips on them, and I haven't had
Mm-hmm.
much use for it. It's not heavy enough. The base isn't heavy enough, and what I usually do
Um,
is I usually do one component at a time. Like, I put it in the board, turn it over, solder it, turn it back over, and that doesn't really work unless your whole
right.
helping hand turns around as well. It just wastes time. So I do use it, but not that much.
That makes sense because
Yeah,
your soldering is just boards.
yeah.
When I was working on my quadcopter, it was um, it was a lot of like soldering things together, combining wires,
Yeah, what I've actually,
switches, that sort of stuff.
yeah,
And
what I've,
so,
go on, sorry, you can go.
here you go. For me, it was really like a huge game changer when I got helping hands because then I wouldn't have to like hold things with my teeth and kind of like
Yeah, I've definitely done
burn
that.
my fingers. Yeah, no.
When you hold a
What
metal
were we gonna
component
say?
while you hold a metal component while you solder the other side of it and wonder why it's burning, but you have to hold it because it needs to go there.
Right? Yeah, no. There'd be times where it's like pure like pain endurance, or like
Yep.
it's almost there. It's almost there.
When you hold soldering wire in your mouth, where you're trying to lean closer to it, and just it's like Lady in a Tramp, but with metal and heat. It's
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. What happened with me is that since, of course, me being me, I got the cheapest, got the cheapest helping hands I could find, and like the pin between them, they came off. So what I did was I got an alligator clip, an actual alligator clip. I removed it from like the rest of the wire. All right, I soldered that thing onto the helping hands. All right.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it broke because it had the exact same issue. The pin came out, or whatever. So this time, I got a paper clip and I jammed it right where the pin was, and it works. Like to this day, the super janky, like cheapest helping hands you can get, it's still working.
Hey,
It was
as you say, if it works, it works.
yes.
Don't argue
I
with
do.
it.
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of us do is we just get the cheapest thing we can get, and instead of like throwing it away when it breaks like a normal sensible person, we just fix it and patch it and
Fix,
cover it in duct tape and
fix it or turn it into something else.
right. Oh yeah, no, definitely. So if you were to do this, you kind of covered this, but like if you were to, for those listeners who are interested in maybe working on this project, doing something similar, like what were some like the big lessons that you learned? If you could do it again, like what would you do differently?
Oh, um, I would probably set myself a much smaller goal to start with. Like building, like what I've done so far is basically just a calculator. It can add two numbers together, and I would say that would be a better first goal. First goal, just do that and get it finished, rather than just sort of jumping ahead and trying to make a whole computer. Because you can take the knowledge you gain from that smaller calculator and apply that to a large computer. So I'd say take smaller steps. Unless you're really confident or are prepared to fail, start smaller.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
quite happy to for this to not work. I've sort of I sort of trust that I trust myself enough to know that I'll keep trying until it's literally impossible. But if it was impossible, if I made some major mistake, I'm quite happy to say, okay, that was my major mistake. I know that now, and I'll leave it.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah,
failure, but yeah, life is failures, isn't it?
yeah. There was I think it was Chinese or Japanese proverb, or maybe it was just a meme. I don't know at this point, but it was the difference between some the person who succeeds and the person. No, no, what was it? A successful person is just someone who's failed the most,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
along those lines,
and
where or like a Silicon Valley, fail faster. It's instead of, being so fail risk averse, just accept failure, learn from that, use it as a jumping point
yeah.
to
It's
try
like
something else.
I'm doing the YouTube videos on this project like as a log, but it's not like, oh, follow this and you will at the end see a complete computer. You may or may not.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just a log. You'll see something. Something will happen. It could be a working computer. It could be a bonfire. It could be anything. But it will end eventually. But
Right,
I
right.
I don't know what that outcome is, and that's kind of what I like about it.
Hmm.
The idea of failure is also like, I don't know, I don't know how to describe it. It's also a success in itself. You
Hmm.
reach the end of a goal, even if it didn't work. It's hard to explain, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, and uh, it's hard for me to understand the mindset of just, oh, well, I'm not good at this, so therefore I'll never be good at this, so I'm not going to waste my time. Like, it's hard for me to understand that because, like, again, so much of what we do and what we work with, especially in this modern world, you have to fail. You're going to fail.
yeah,
The first 6, 7, 20 times even. Like, things are going to go wrong, and that's just part of the process. you
yeah.
know
And
it's
part of the idea of working on this project, because I knew I didn't understand most of it. Like 90% of it, I didn't know what I was going to do from the beginning. But it sort of forces you to learn those things. So if you
mm-hmm,
know, I generally want to learn electronics. That's sort of my driving force is that I'm working on this, and I will learn those things along the way.
mm-hmm.
It's the same with programming. Any people who learn program, because I'm a programmer, and people who do programming, it's like, um, I always say to them, if you want to learn programming, have something to make. Make something.
Yes,
You can't just learn programming. Just it doesn't just go into your head. You need to have a goal. You need to have the challenges given to you so you can solve
yes.
the problem.
I yes, I'm a huge advocate of project driven learning
Yeah,
because,
obviously.
like,
You,
I
you
mean,
run
like,
you
how,
you
yeah.
run Jaynky.
Yeah, like, that's how you remember stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
you remember through doing, through creating, and you got to have that goal, that envision, that to the goal objective to get to, and the stuff you need to learn along the way. I mean, um I've taken, a few coding courses and such, and afterwards, all that information just goes out the other ear at the end of it. It's
yeah,
like I can't remember any of it. But if you have a project and you're debugging and you're banging your head against a wall, and you finally get there, you're gonna remember that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, if where can listeners go to follow more about your project,
Um,
learn more?
well, obviously, I do pictures and stuff on the Janky Discord server. But yeah, otherwise, it's literally just my YouTube. I do the video
All right.
logs on.
We'll put a make sure to put a link in the notes so you guys can
Yeah,
follow along.
somewhere.
Somewhere. It being the first episode and all, no clue where this thing's gonna get
Nope,
posted.
nope.
I'm one of those people that on YouTube where I will not check the description no matter what. Like, they could be the most entertaining, interesting thing that they say is going to be in the description, and I'm just not going to read it.
Yeah,
But anyways, for those of you who are good listeners and pay attention to the notes, I'll put a link there. Follow him. Yeah, glad you could be here. Glad you could
No worries.
Share some of your insights and your project. Definitely look forward to seeing how it progresses and evolves over time.
I'm getting to a certain point now where it's gonna actually start looking like something. It's gonna be a whole working unit soon. It's just it's just a lot of little things have to come together for it all to work, and a lot of those little things aren't there yet. So it's a hard thing to like. I had my parents over today, and I took them upstairs to show them the computer project, and I was explaining to them every single bit, and it was just going right over their heads, and it was like it's like it hasn't got enough flashing lights for them to understand it. You know, there's nothing there to see, and yeah, it's really hard to explain it to people, and I try and show it to people, and they just don't understand it. And it's because I don't think it's at that point yet where you can actually look at it and go, oh yeah, I can see that working.
Right. It's just like it's just a bundle of wires and circuit boards.
That's all it is to most people I show it to. Just a mess.
Well, then of course you come show it to us, and we're just like, oh my gosh, that's so neat. How did you?
The smallest little thing that I call a mess, you're like, oh no, that's so cool, and it's like, what? That's why I love it here. That's why it's such a good place. Everyone's interested, you know. It's
that's the exact reason why I wanted to start it, is because like day to day, you're making something, you spend hours and hours and hours, and you finally make something, and if it's not some super flashy amazing thing, people are just like, oh, okay, that's nice, nerd.
It's like working in programming as well. When I worked professionally as a programmer, you'd have to have a meeting with your producer or something. You try explaining to them why something is and isn't possible. It just goes right over their heads. They don't care about like the details. They just want to see the result, But talking to other programmers, they get it. It's I think it's that sort of dynamic.
Yeah.
Trying to explain it
definitely.
to people who don't do it. It just looks like nothing. It just sounds like nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I get the two reactions I get is either like that reaction, or they just think I'm some super genius. Like when
I don't think anyone's ever thought I was a genius.
like when I made the Raspberry Pi Linux phone, it kind of looked like a bomb, and everyone. Well, okay, they mercilessly teased me about, which I deserved. It looked like a bomb, to be fair. But, then the other reaction was just like, that's so smart. You're so smart. I'm like, no, I'm not. This is like, took me total of 5 minutes to assemble with duct tape.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. Well, anyways, glad you could be here. Celebrate our first episode.
Yep.
For those of the listeners out there,
and the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah,
it's 1 year old.
Also celebrating 1 year, 1 year old.
Everything's kicking off now, isn't it?
I know. Yeah. Whoa, janky to the max. All right. Well, stay janky, everyone, and see you later.
See you later.